And welcome back to Pokemon Team Creation Series. This one comes from my own personal list, and that is, what is the Pokemon team of Jace Beleren from Magic the Gathering? I did Nico Bolas a long while ago, and on my personal list I have a couple different topics and genres and particular series that I go to, and Magic the Gathering is certainly one of them. I just haven't done one in a while, so I thought, all right, I've reached my spot in the the rundown of people who I do videos about for and about. So why don't I go and look at and do a Magic character? And why don't we look at one of the OG Planeswalkers that ever show up in the card game, Jace. Jace Beleren is a individual from a plane called, I believe it's Vyrn, V-Y-R-N or V-R-Y-N. I can't remember exactly. It's kind of we don't know a lot about it. But what we do know about his homeworld is that it is, let's see, I believe it's Vyrn, not with an I, an R. Vyrn Magic, or no, it's got to be with the Y then. And the little we know about it is that, yeah, there it is that it is there are multiple environments to be sure, but the landscape is literally what are called mage rings. They're giant structures for conducting mana. The actual plane itself is not, from little we've seen, it's not the best looking, but it's not like it's devoid of life or a desert or anything. It's kind of like a standard plane with the gimmick of these mage rings. So Jace grew up on that plane, was apprenticed to a Sphinx, and ultimately the Sphinx was just using him until he fought back and ultimately ignited his Planeswalker Spark, which allowed him to traverse the multiverse. He's had a very long and arduous history. He's one of the oldest Planeswalkers in the series in terms of the card and character introduction. Not in terms of age. He's actually really young by that standard. But ultimately, yes. So that's the general gist of Jace. We'll talk more about that when we go into the team and stuff that kind of relates to him. But you shouldn't. But the main things you need to know is he is a guy who traverses the multiverse. I could easily put a Hoopa on anyone's team for that, but I'm not going to do, or an Ultra Beast, but I'm not going to do that. And his shtick, his gimmick is he is a mental magician. He can read. He's a telepath. He's a telekinetic. He's an illusionist. That's reading minds and illusionary capabilities are his two main capabilities. And so that's at least the basis of which I was able to draw from for his team. Now, right out the gate, I knew that if we're talking about a Pokemon that can actually read minds, there actually, even among psychic types, there actually aren't a lot of them. But Mewtwo is one that we know for a fact can read minds. And it's an extremely powerful Pokemon. Now, you'll notice I did not go with a Mega Evolution or anything like that. Mewtwo is enough. Now, is this overpowered for Jace? Not necessarily. Jace is not the most powerful telepath in the multiverse, but he is among the most powerful in the multiverse. Like, he holds himself back in terms of how powerful he is, because if he just wanted to, he could be hearing everyone's thoughts at any given time. He could basically shut down someone's brain death. He could control people to as well if he wanted to, but he has a moral compass that keeps him in check. Mewtwo is very similar in that regard. Mewtwo, depending on how you look at Mewtwo, in terms of which version you look at the Genesect one, the anime one, which is the same as the movie one. Mewtwo did have to go through some, growth, moral compass, all that kind of stuff. He started out hating people, but then ultimately grew to at least respect and leave them alone. Yeah, when I'm talking about like telekinetic Pokemon or psychic Pokemon or anything like that had to come up. That was no given. No given? That was a given. Sorry. What's the terminology I was looking for? Combining. That was a given. That was no doubt. No, I can't remember the terminology I was using for it. Point being, yeah, he's on the team. Another Mon, though, that's a psychic type that made it to the team is representative of his relationships, particularly his romantic relationships. He is actually quite a ladies' man in many ways. And I went with Gothitelle. Gothitelle being a female Pokemon and being a psychic type. Now, it looks almost like it should be a psychic dark type just based on its design. And I went with this because there's not really much I could do for something to really represent both Liliana and Vraska. Liliana is for those of you who don't know Magic Gathering, is a necromancer and looks certainly like a white woman with black hair, wears a purple dress. Not much I could really do with that. And there's certainly not much I can do with a necromancer Pokemon. Vraska was also almost trickier. The only thing I can at least say for Vraska is that Gothitel's hair can resemble Gorgon strand tendrils because Vraska's a Gorgon. She's a Medusa, basically. Now, the Gorgons in Magic the Gathering don't have snakes for hair. They just have tendrils that move like snakes. But yes, there's not much I could have done for a Gorgon-based Pokemon either. So I think Gothitelle being a psychic type Pokemon, going more again towards the motif of psychic abilities, and being a female Pokemon that is based off goth culture to some degree, almost a Wednesday Addams, if you will. And I think that's kind of where the design partly comes from. I think that was the best play I could do there. And it's the Pokemon that maybe if he feels kind of represents his relationship, and he has a good, strong relationship with this Pokemon. But that's not the only thing we have. We have another Psychic Mon on the team. We have surprisingly, only 3 on the team. I know. But there is one more Psychic type I put on the team. It's the first time this Mon's been on a team with us today, or ever. And I wanted something. This was actually, I think, the last Mon I added to the team in terms of Mon I was thinking about to add to the team. And this really just came from more of an aesthetic appeal. And I went with Farigiraf. And this really comes from the fact that A, it's a Psychic type. And I'm going to just move you above Mewtwo real quick. There we go. And this is the best image I could find. But B, if you look at it, it gets a little hood formed from its tail. Jace is very well known aesthetically for that hood and cloak style. So, yeah, that just kind of worked. And it's a Psychic type. And it's a normal Psychic, which is, I think, honestly, the kind of, if you were to turn Jace into a Pokemon, would be the type of Mon he is. So, yeah. This was really more like the filler at the end of the day. But there are a couple other ones to talk about. We have 2 Mon here to represent his ability for casting illusions. And when we say illusions, we mean illusions, like really effective illusions. Like illusions that can fool gods kind of level illusions when he really pulls out all the stops. Now, there's first off only one Mon that actually knows a move called Illusion, and that is Zoroark. And Zoroark, yeah, I mean, look, Zoroark is not necessarily the greatest Mon in terms of like personality to go with Jace. It's a very mischievous Pokemon, and it's a dark type. Jace certainly has some darkness in him, but he's not an evil individual at all, really. So Zoroark really was there for the illusion ability because it can disguise its form just like Jace can. However, the other Mon that in the Pokemon Pokedex lore can cast illusions, and there's a whole Pokemon episode dedicated to it, is Stantler. Stantlers can hypnotize and cast illusions with their horns, with their antlers. It also helps that they're able to use the move Hypnosis, such as the same as Mewtwo, I believe Farigiraf, and Gothitelle can. So Hypnosis obviously can put someone to sleep or under your control, so forth and so on. But to the point is that the episode with Brock and the baby Stantler, it was casting illusions of stampeding Stantlers, and it was just a baby. So this makes sense that for an illusion casting Mon, this would go on the team. So I'm like, okay, I could just fill this out with another Psychic type Pokemon, but I want to at least try to be a little bit more unique and go to like the experiences Jace has had in the story. So I remembered, so I went through like the story points of Jace. I'm like, okay, nothing here, nothing really there. And then I got to the point where he lost his memory on Ixalan. He was stranded on Ixalan, couldn't planeswalk out of there, and didn't have any recollection of his memory. And he basically was a part of a pirate crew for a while. So I'm like, okay, maybe we could have a Pokemon that's a souvenir of his time as a pirate. So what can we do with that? We could do swashbuckling with like a hone edge and a sword, but he doesn't carry a sword. And I don't think he'd carry a sword as a memento, really. But what about Delmise? Delmise could be a fun Mon. It's an anchor. It's a ghost anchor. It can represent the fact that his time as a sailor and a pirate is gone. It's dead. But he still has those memories, and it kind of helped reform him and find a relationship with Vraska. So why not have Delmise on there? I think it's kind of a fun little wild card one on there. ultimately, I think this is the team he'd have. And is this a balanced team? Not particularly. I mean, you had 3 ghost types, 2 normals. Sorry, 3 psychic types, 2 normals, 1 dark, 1 grass, and a ghost. This team, this team kind of really gets wrecked by dark types. And it gets super wrecked by bug types, among other types too. Now it does have at least a little. It's really good against fighting types. What else is psychic strong? It's flying types. Yeah, but unfortunately, dark types would really hurt this team quite a bit, which thematically would make sense for Jace, as he is not evil, and evil is like, he tries his best to be the good guy here, and he fights against evil the best he can. So, I don't know. I mean, look, this is just my thought on the team for Jace Beleren from Magic the Gathering. What do you think? Do you like this team? Do you dislike this team? What would you do different on this team if you were to do something different? Let me know in the comments below. But until then, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, share, and subscribe. And I will see you folks for the next one. Later.